What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? You think this is a fucking This is a way of life. This is a way of life.
All right. Hey, Ballbusters. Bates here with your friend and mine, Ray Mungus, ready to get spooky on episode 3 of Way of Life Live. Ray, you there? How you doing?
I'm here, man. How you doing?
Today could have been better, but I have a glass of scotch now. No beer right now, just scotch, so that helps. Ease the pain.
Tell me about it. I got my coffee sitting right here, and hopefully I don't need a refill before this episode is done.
Let's see, how late are we tonight? What are we, about a half an hour?
Like, I was considering saying that we're going to start at 8:30 from now on, but then we'll probably start at 9, so I think we should just keep it the way it is.
And let me just go
late.
Let me just go on record. It wasn't me this time. The last 2 weeks, I'll admit, were mostly on me. Not this week. Not my fault. I was ready to go.
I take full responsibility for this week's lateness. You know, like before I went to bed yesterday, I had everything all planned out. Everything was going to go very smoothly. And then I ended up going to bed around 9:30 in the morning, and that changed everything.
Yeah, well, that's pretty normal for you. I mean, 9:30, that's pretty late. You're usually in bed by about 7.
Yeah, around that time, generally. You know what we need to do? We need to change that spooky thing in the very beginning. Because I think we wrote that originally for Halloween, and then we never aired on Halloween.
But I like the spooky thing. It goes with our Return of the Living Dead homage motif.
That is true. You know, I mean, like, we could do that if you want.
And what do I get? Oh, you're spooky.
I like it spooky. If you've never seen Return of the Living Dead, what are you waiting for? Get your ass out there and... I was about to say rent it. Rent it on VOD, I guess? Don't go looking for a Blockbuster.
Yeah, rent it.
God, I'm so old.
Can you tell we're children of the 90s here?
Seriously.
I won't be surprised if that's like one of our first giveaways on this channel is like a nice Blu-ray version of that movie.
Oh, definitely. I'd be on board for that.
So yeah, so we'll see about that going down the line. But if you haven't seen the movie, just go see it. But before we get detracted and into a whole conversation there,
you know we will.
Yeah, you know how we roll here. We have way too much to go over. We got a couple news pieces to go over and a couple of discussions to tackle tonight. So before this turns into another 2-hour stream, why don't we just go ahead and just dive in?
I'm down. Let's do this.
All right. So let's see. First on your list, because
my list.
Yes, it is your list. Ray puts together 90% of our topics and stuff. I give some feedback, but he puts it in a nice little format for us, and he takes care of most of the heavy lifting on that end.
Yeah, we'll get there. You know, just we're building a little piece at a time, and you know, if you got to pick up a little extra weight to get it done, why not?
Well, I mean, I throw you ideas, and you just make it nice and neat.
No, I do most of it.
You have a lot more time on your hands than I do.
That is true.
So I have an excuse.
True.
All right. So first piece of news.
It's got a big one too.
Well, yeah. I guess so. That would be the new Halloween sequel. We got some news emerging from that front. Which has been kind of cool. I mean, we got some pictures a few weeks ago for Halloween, and we had gotten some cool news breaks before that. and now we're getting more. So they're continuing to keep the hype really high for this movie, you know, especially for lifelong fans.
It almost feels like they're not trying to be apologetic for Rob Zombie's iterations of Halloween, but more like trying to win back those who he left in the dust. Not to say that the movies were bad or anything, but there are quite a few detractors from those movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to forgive about Rob's movies. They were. I thought the first one was really good. It was scary. I had issues with it, but I have issues with everything. And obviously the second one had way more issues, but it is a movie I can watch, and I don't hate it by any means, but it's definitely not as good as the first one.
Somebody on Birth Movies Death said that Rob Zombie's first Halloween movie was like a original type of Halloween movie, like a good sequel that forgot it was a remake halfway through, and then they kind of rushed to get to the finish line and hit every beat. The second one, the sequel, I kind of respect a little bit more because he's just like, fuck it at this point. They want me back that bad. I'm doing what I want, how I want it. Don't like it, don't watch it, don't buy it, whatever. So I kind of respect him for kind of trying to make a Halloween his own right there.
Yeah, I agree. He just was like, you know what? I don't even give a fuck anymore. And just
pretty much. And to be fair, like, I don't think, like you said before, I don't think they have much to apologize for, because look at the sequels after this. Let's say after the third one. I feel like those producers need to come back and apologize to us.
Yeah, I need written apologies, and I need to be taken out to dinner a couple of times.
Seriously.
For every time I've ended up just sitting down and watching Part 4 or Part 5 on AMC, I need a dinner for each one of those times, so probably like 600 each.
And that's not even including apologies for the masks and what they did to them.
Ugh.
Don't even get us started on that.
Anyway, so the news we got was sort of plot related, and we already knew that this movie was going to be a direct sequel to the 1978 original, and it was going to ignore everything after that. From Part 2 on was all ignored. So the only movie that's technically canon for this movie is the original. Which I love that idea. I've said this before on stream. That's exactly my idea for my Friday the 13th sequel. But they took it a step further, and they got rid of Part 2. And I really loved Part 2. I would have liked it if they kept it, but it is what it is. So they decided to keep Part 1, but from what this news piece is telling us is that it picks up after the first one, but it's sort of an alternate reality. It's as if the first Halloween ended in a slightly different way. So I'm not really quite sure how to take that.
Yeah, it's kind of a huge piece of news. Like, to think that such a very very much appreciated movie like Halloween, for them to go back now, all these years later, and take the original ending and twist it so that they can make a sequel. It kind of leaves a weird taste in your mouth. Like I'm intrigued to see where they're gonna go with it and what they're twisting to make their movie work. But at the same time, you don't fuck with a classic.
Yeah. It's like, all right, great. You are going to follow the events of the original movie, but now you're going to change one of the most memorable aspects of that movie. That's. I don't even know. That's like taking a recipe that's been proven to be delicious and then adding an extra ingredient for no reason.
Agreed, but like at the same time, we don't know exactly how big the change is going to be. Like, it could be like taking that same recipe and then adding an extra pinch of salt to it. You know, like, we don't know how severe it's going to be, and what kind of effects it's going to have on the original ending.
Yes, that is true, but I think if they're actually announcing it and bringing it up, I think it's kind of a warning to fans to be like, all right, so the ending is going to be a little different. We just want to prepare you guys. So don't hate us.
It seemed a little bit like that because, it was an interview, I believe, with Yahoo, and Danny McBride, who's the co-writer on it, basically let that little bit slip. But he also did say, I just hope that we don't fuck it up and piss people off. You know, like he respects the source material, and enough to say, like we're confident in it, but like we don't want to get on the bad side of these fans.
Well, from my perspective as a wannabe writer, I am all for pissing off the fans, but pissing off the fans in a way that they're gonna be like, "You motherfucker." They're not gonna hate you. They're gonna hate the idea, but love the thought behind the idea. You know, it's a very, very fine line to walk for writers and filmmakers, especially when tackling classic properties like Halloween. But if they pull it off right, they'll piss off fans, but fans will leave happy. And I think, it's not easy, but I think if they put enough time and thought into it, they can figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, it just takes a matter of having the passion for the source material, but at the same time being creative enough to walk a little bit away from that path, and try to make it your own in a different way, and be ballsy enough to do it, in a way that might ruffle some feathers. So, like you said before, they might be saying this to warn us a little bit. But at this point in the series, how many movies are we in? Like close to 10, maybe over 10. I don't even know. Fuck it, try it. Michael Myers is dead otherwise.
Yeah, this would, I guess, would be the 11th if we count the remakes. I'm also kind of thinking that maybe they're not technically changing the ending. Maybe they're adding something to the ending. Maybe something that technically could have been in the original, but we just didn't see it. Maybe an event that took place off screen.
Or a continuation before the credits hit.
Yeah, it's
definitely works.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're altering the ending. It just could, in a completely, new ending type of way. It just means that some type of addition could be added. So the ending is still technically the same, but we're getting more of the original ending.
Yeah, that could definitely be possible. I mean, we're still a year away, a little bit under a year actually. So I mean, we got a bit of time between then and now.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as they keep feeding us, little bits of info here and there like that, once a month, doesn't even have to be anything massive. Again, just like those pictures we got, little bits of news like this, it'll keep fans hungry for this sequel, and it'll keep it fresh in their minds, and it'll just keep increasing the hype, which is already pretty big. I mean, right now, out of the 3 big slasher properties, this is the only one with life in it at the moment. So, for slasher fans, they're clinging to this movie with everything they have, because we don't have Nightmare on Elm Street, in the pipeline, and we definitely don't have Friday the 13th in the pipeline. So, we got to cling to Halloween. That's all we got right now.
Hey, let me ask you this. Have you heard the news about what John Carpenter said regarding this film? That this is going to be the end. Like, I know most writers and producers always say this is going to be the final one and sequels happen. But he seems pretty adamant that this is going to be the definitive conclusion to the series.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've heard Ozzy tell me that he's going to fucking retire since 1991, since fucking No More Tears came out. And I think he's gone on 2 retirement tours already. And yeah, he's going on his 3rd retirement tour. So Yeah, I don't believe anything anymore.
That's a valid point. I'm just glad that we're going to be getting another one, whether it gets sequels or not, and another one that's going to be composed by John Carpenter as well. So, hey, we get a little bit of a huge victory, rather.
You know, my original idea, especially for these big slasher IPs like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween, is I always thought they should have taken the comic route with their movies. So you have one set of movies set on one timeline, and you make that the original, make that the Amazing Spider-Man of the Halloween movies, that original timeline, and then maybe have somebody else start a whole new timeline, make that the Spectacular Halloween movies. And then, maybe have someone else come in and do something crazy with it and have it be like the Spider-Man 2099, Fucking having those kind of different universes, while you're not affecting the originals, but you're still creating something new. I just don't understand why that kind of concept never really caught on in horror movies. Well, big properties, Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser's another massive property, which I think has the most expandability just because of the characters and the lore in those movies.
Yeah, you would think that they would have done something like that by now, especially with Hollywood producers kind of treating their fan base like they're a bunch of idiots. Like they need to show origin stories continuously and everything, as though our minds are so feeble that we don't remember how Spider-Man came to be or Batman came to be. But like you would think that would be a little bit more appealing to somebody that's like, oh, we can't have a continued storyline or anything like that, or we need to constantly wrap up the loose ends from the previous films. Yeah, creating a whole nother universe would just make all of that go away creatively and give writers and directors a bigger sandbox to play in.
Yeah, speaking of this, I mean, it reminds me of the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, just titled Leatherface. Not to be confused with Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. I'm getting sick of...
That was a little weird.
I'm getting sick of fucking movies doing that, too. Fucking...
Agreed.
I think the Rambo series was really the first one to fucking do that. It was like First Blood, and then Rambo... First Blood Part 2, and then Rambo 3 wasn't called First Blood Part 3, it was just called Rambo 3. You know what? Stick with a fucking naming scheme, people. Alright?
I agree. I mean, it took me till I was a teenager to realize that those movies weren't called just Rambo. That's all I called them growing up.
Yeah, that's what everybody called them growing up. But it's, and the only franchise that's fucking forgiven for that is the Friday the 13th franchise, because after New Line bought it, after Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, they didn't have the rights to use the Friday the 13th name. That's why Jason Goes to Hell was called Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason X was called Jason X, because they actually could not use Friday the 13th in the titles.
Yeah, I mean, when it's a legal issue, that makes sense.
That's the only one I give a pass to. Everybody else, fuck you, just stick to a naming scheme. But going back to what I was saying, so Leatherface is a prequel to the original, what year was that, 1974?
I think so.
It's a prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not to be confused with Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, which was a prequel to the remake.
I feel like these DVDs and Blu-ray sets should come with like a timeline, like when these things happen, like a giant chart that you could hang up in your wall when you're watching the movie. You're like, oh, that happens when this character was alive, or when that happened.
Yeah, and I don't even know where Leatherface 3D fits into this universe. Is it in the remake universe? Is it in the original universe? I don't even fucking know anymore.
Hell if I know.
I'm still trying to figure out where the fuck Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new generation, fucking fits into all of this.
Yeah, somebody should ask Matthew McConaughey. He might know.
If you guys have never seen that movie, it's awful, but just see it for Matthew McConaughey and fucking one of Renee Zellweger's first roles. Man, did she pick a doozy?
Weird.
Yeah, she picked a doozy on that one. It is an awful, awful movie, but it's so awful that it's entertaining. Matthew McConaughey is just batshit crazy in it. Like I don't even know if he had a fucking script during that movie. He just went nuts in it, and yeah, it's worth it for him alone.
Some of the best performances are like that too, where like you find out 30 years later that they were like high on something and they just didn't care about the script or didn't read it or anything like that and just went off the fucking rails.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's exactly what the script is. They're like, okay, we're not going to give you the script. Here, just do these 2 lines of coke and wing it. That was the script.
Yeah, like roll up the first page of the script and just sort it that way.
So I mean, I've read a lot about this Leatherface prequel, and it's not even a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's like this really doesn't make any sense origin story to Leatherface, but it's more of a road movie in the vein of The Devil's Rejects, but just not as good.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty lukewarm reviews on it. I haven't yet seen it myself.
But so slasher fans just clinging to all this good Halloween news we've been getting steadily, and I just hope it keeps up, or we get news of some other franchise being rebooted or refreshed or whatever you want to call it nowadays.
Well, I mean, if Halloween is successful, you know the lawyers are gonna like settle up when it comes to the other series, or you know, Platinum Dunes might loosen the grip on Nightmare on Elm Street. We'll see what happens. So.
Well, I mean, they're about to lose Friday the 13th. That should be going back to WB, right? I think it's going back to technically New Line, but isn't New Line owned by WB? I don't even know anymore. I can't keep track of all this shit. But
weren't they didn't one of the companies give up rights to Friday the 13th for a piece of Interstellar?
Interstellar. Yes.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what was the makings of that deal and the conditions, but
or if it's even relevant to the rights reverting back to the holder. So, I mean, we need a chart for that too.
Yeah, it's
fucking mess.
Yeah. So with that, why don't you take us into the next bit of news and discussion here?
Right on. So basically, a lot of fans have been pretty hyped up about Stephen King's It, with the success of it being one of the top-grossing modern-day horror movies. Everybody's clamoring to try to find out when people could get it at home, when can we watch it again, and it looks like we got that answer. Seems like the digital version of it will be released December 19th, and following that's going to be a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray/DVD combo pack, and yada yada yada, January 9, 2018. So it looks like there's going to be some special features that are kind of interesting on there. It's going to be a feature on Bill Skarsgård, the guy that played Pennywise. And it looks like it's going to go into, you know, the workings of how he portrayed the character and everything. You're going to get the same sort of feature surrounding the kids that played the Loser Club. You know, retrospective of Stephen, his novels, and it seems like we're going to be getting 11 deleted scenes regarding, obviously for the movie.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I'm sure most of those deleted scenes were just fluff and filler. I loved the movie. I thought it was very well done, very pretty damn true to the source material. My biggest issue, and I understand 100% why we never got this scene. No, not that scene. I'm happy that scene's not in the movie, but
let's not talk about that.
Yes.
Let me just say this real quick. The fact that every writer and their mother decided to write a think piece about that around the release of the movie, it's like, just
them.
get over it, you know? Like,
fuck them. It's like, seriously, you gotta create such clickbaity articles and just surround it of a scene that we are never gonna get ever. Just fucking grow up.
Agreed. And like, if you look at it through an adult perspective, and I know how horrible, like it looks on paper when you understand what Stephen King was trying to do, not so eloquently, but what he was trying to do by that scene, it's just kind of like, okay, you see, sort of get where he was going for, like what he was trying to achieve, but
yeah,
it just took full advantage of that, I thought.
Yeah, it's just that when you're taking a book property and you're turning it into a movie, some things translate well to the screen, some things don't. That scene does not translate at all to a movie. Keep it in written form. That's it. Anybody who was hoping to see that scene needs to seek some help, in my opinion. But that's not the scene I'm mad that we didn't get. The scene, and again, I know it would not have translated very well to the big screen, but I was really hoping for a bit of mature kind of explanation. For anyone who doesn't know who that is, it's a giant space turtle.
Oh, yes.
So
I think we still might get that, though.
I don't know, because we didn't get it in the first part, and Matura kind of explained to the kids how to defeat Pennywise in the first part with the whole trials. I forget exactly what it's called. Trials of something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just speaking from the perspective of knowing that they're going to be trying to explore, what is it? The backgrounds of Pennywise and everything like that, and where he comes from.
The Macroverse.
Exactly, and also they're going to be still having flashbacks to the kids in the sequel. So, like, we might still have one of those sort of situations. Maybe even if it's just like sort of a cameo or a throwback to the fans of the book.
Yeah, you know what I'm hoping for? That we get just a dream, and we only get to see Mature. We just get to see this giant, elegant fucking space turtle. Doesn't even have to speak. It's just more of a symbolic thing.
I think that would be a good way to approach it, honestly.
Because there's no way that's going to translate well to the big screen. And obviously we got Easter eggs towards the character. There was the scene when they were all in the quarry swimming, and I forget who it was, said, "Oh, I think a turtle just swam by me." And
there was the Lego scene as well.
Yeah, when Bill dropped the Lego green turtle and that smash. So, I mean, we got some kind of nods to Matura, but I just wanted a little bit more. I am not mad that we didn't get it. I just would have liked it. That's just, everybody sees movies like this and they, like, oh, I wish we got that. Yeah, that's just kind of what I was wishing for. And maybe one of these deleted scenes will allude to something like that, but I doubt it.
I'm really interested to see where they go with it as far as deleted scenes or what didn't make the cut. I've got like a love-hate relationship with the deleted scenes simply because generally, like, you watch a deleted scene and you're like, oh, I could see why that hit the cutting room floor. But when you find a director that cut stuff for time and you're just like, my God, why is that scene not still in the movie? It was so poignant, or it had such a great effect, or it would have continued the character development a little better. I really hate when I see deleted scenes like that.
Yeah, but a lot of times that's not always on the directors and the filmmakers. Sometimes it's the studio saying they need to cut it, or gotta.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors in there.
Yeah, so it's not always on the filmmakers.
As a fan, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to edit videos, and I'm gonna put that scene back in because it's canon. It's canon as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so we got that to look forward to. It would have been cool if it was before the holidays, but we're getting the Blu-ray right after the holidays. So
yeah, at least we're gonna get a peek at it on video or digital video on demand and all that.
Yes. So, speaking of releases, I believe we have a date for another movie being released on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's looking that way. It was released by what's the company called? I'm sorry. Raven Banner Entertainment. Sorry, that's a long one to remember. Raven Banner Entertainment posted on their Instagram account I guess it looks like a theatrical display of some sort. You could see it right there in the top left-hand corner for the movie Victor Crowley. It was a pretty unique display. You know, if it was in the theaters, you know, like a wide release, you'd be able to put your head right in that hole, but where his fist is. But the thing that kind of went unnoticed for a little bit was the fact that there is a date listed for Victor Crowley or Hatchet being back, and that's February 6, 2018. So it leads me to wonder, is that going to be a display for stores? Or is it going to be a display in theaters? Is that initial tour for Victor Crowley like just the appetizer? Are they going to try to release this movie wide, and are we going to see that display in the theaters, you know, nationwide, or is that just for a Blu-ray or DVD release?
Yeah, well, all I know is that banner needs to be in my basement.
God, yes. So it's pretty exciting. Unfortunately, I missed out on seeing it on Adam Green's tour because of traffic, but we did still support. So I'm really looking forward to having the next shot at seeing it, whether it's a nationwide release or if it's going to be, you know, in my hands in my Blu-ray player.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that we're getting it so soon. I mean, the tour only just wrapped up, I think, on Halloween. And, you know, we're already getting it on most likely on DVD and Blu-ray in a couple months. So, you know, all the fans who didn't get a chance to see it on tour, as Ray said, he missed it because of traffic. We'll
just leave it at that.
Yes. And I missed it because I had to do big boy adult things that day. And I was not...
sucks.
Yeah, being an adult does suck. It's like, I want to go see a movie. No, you have to go move shit out of your other house.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, right?
I'm just saying, some giant monster, you know, killing people in Louisiana seems more appealing than moving stuff at a house. For me, at least.
So, I'm looking forward to it. I really need to go back and rewatch Part 3. That was my least favorite of the series, and I only watched it once.
Yeah, same here. I had its moments, but you could tell that the writing went off a little bit and the directing went off a little bit. And if you listen to Adam Green's podcast, The Movie Crypt, he doesn't seem all that thrilled about how the production went. So you could tell that there were some issues.
Yeah, definitely. So keep an eye on that, February 6, 2018. I'm sure we're going to learn very, very soon what exactly is going to be released that date. But, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that's going to be a DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it go nationwide, but after the, you know, what happened with Hatchet 2, it being banned and pulled by the MPAA, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. The MPAA, it's like the horror fans' like arch enemy, especially
Agreed.
Back in the 80s.
I just wonder who put those people in charge. You know what I mean? Like why are they so powerful in this industry? So much so that they could pressure a huge company like AMC to pull Hatchet 2 because Hatchet 2 went in unrated.
I don't know. That's a topic for another day.
Just makes me angry. I always think about it when we're talking about Hatchet.
So going from Adam Green to Adam Green's partner, yeah. So Joe Lynch, who, if you don't know, is as we just said, Adam Green's partner, does a lot of collaboration with Adam Green. You can see him on their podcast on what is that, Ariscope? Oh well, no, the show Holliston, but they also do the movie Crypt, right?
Yeah, they did a movie crypt. They worked together on a film called Chillerama. They act together on Holliston. You know, like it seems like the best bud matchup when it comes to dual horror directors.
Yep. So Joe
He has
Lynch,
a new movie.
He has his own movie coming out. Go ahead, you can take that one.
Yeah, he has a movie coming out that is getting a lot of great praise, and it's just called Mayhem, and it stars The Walking Dead Steven Yeun. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation. Ash vs. Evil Dead Samara Weaving, and Teen Wolf Stephen Brandt. It's currently out right now on VOD and iTunes, or pretty much wherever you could rent the movie. It's out right now. So what we're gonna play the trailer for you guys to, in case you haven't heard of the movie. The movie's called Mayhem, and you can check out the trailer here, right now on Way of Life Live.
Yeah, just give me a second to bring it up here.
You had many seconds, bro.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, while he's working on that, I want to announce that it's coming to Blu-ray as they do this December as well. It's coming out December 26th, 2017 to 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it, regular Blu-ray and DVD. Which I'm surprised they still make DVDs nowadays.
Yeah. All right, we're good to go. So I'm gonna go mute for a second, and you guys can check out the trailer.
A model citizen here, transformed into a brutal, bloodthirsty, killing machine!
Welcome to the home of Towers & Smythe Consulting. TSC is a firm fueled by greed, duplicity, and moral decay.
I'm gonna need some scouts!
What the hell are you doing?
Firing you.
I'm not leaving this building until I plead my case.
Sure. Good luck with that.
What the hell is going on?
Say hello to the ID7 virus. Stress hormone levels rise, causing inhibitions to drop, and basic instincts to rise to the surface.
All traces of the virus should be eliminated in approximately 8 hours.
What are we supposed to do for the next 8 hours?
Try to remain calm.
Hey, extreme measures, right?
This is our shot.
I'm offering 150 grand for Joe's head.
We're talking about murder here. You should be offering at least 450.
Him?
Yup.
You want to do this the hard way?
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
I just kicked his ass!
All right, so there you go.
Kind of looks like any bad day anybody ever has had at work. It's like that's what's going through your mind when you have a bad day at work.
Yeah, it definitely looks crazy entertaining. And you know what's really funny about that trailer? It seems so serious in the beginning, and then it got like real campy towards the end. But I like that. I dig that.
Agreed. It looks like a blast, honestly. Just the fact that you're gonna have two great actors in there going up against everyday drama and bullshit at work, and just going full balls to the wall in sort of revenge mode. So it's going to be interesting to check that out. It's out right now on VOD, iTunes, Vudu, anywhere you can pretty much rent it from. And again, it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray December 26th.
We really need to just get together like early one afternoon and just knock out a bunch of movies in my Netflix queue.
Hey man, I'm down. Let me know.
I mean, I got Raw in there. I have Raw in there right now. The Void, The Babysitter. You know, I have so many movies. I just need to sit down and watch.
Dude, the same way. I have everything backlogged. You know, like the last 6 months worth of movies, just straight up in my queue, and sitting on my shelf collecting dust, and it's ridiculous. I look forward to the time where I could just implant a thumb drive into the back of my neck and just experience the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much less time it's consuming.
Yes, that movie has been assimilated.
I think we're heading there, so we might see that day.
But yeah, so guys, definitely check that out. It definitely looks like a blast of a movie. Joe Lynch is definitely a very unique mind, especially working so closely with Adam Green for so long. I'm sure a lot of Adam's quirks.
A lot of people have seen Wrong Turn too, and that if you've seen that movie, it pretty much speaks of Joe Lynch's character. He's a hell of a director, absolutely worth your time. So
and if you're gonna bring up Wrong Turn 2, it's the only movie in that franchise to watch repeatedly. Like, it's that good. Part 1 is okay. Part 2 is amazing, and then the rest are just whatever.
Yeah, like honestly, I think Part 2 is the one that I've watched the most, out of the series, which is really weird. Part 1 was solid, but Part 2 is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
how do you go wrong with Henry Rollins in your movie?
Yeah, it's one of those rare occasions where the sequel is better than the first one.
Absolutely agreed.
So definitely, guys, check out Mayhem. Out right now, and then coming out. What'd you say? It's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray on December 26th.
26th, yes.
So mark your calendars or check it out right now on iTunes or VOD.
Definitely don't wait. Just do both. Rent it right now. Shut us off, or wait till you're done with watching us, and then watch Mayhem right now, and then pre-order it. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we're gonna shift over to some sci-fi and comic news. Since I think we've tackled most of the horror stuff for this show, and
definitely.
We're gonna start with the quite possibly death of Marvel shows on Netflix.
It's really funny? The fact that somebody may have tuned into this episode and was like, "Oh shit, they're talking about Justice League. They must have seen it." And we haven't said a lick of news or an acorn of anything. Leak it?
Yeah, for clickbait, kind of.
Look at that.
Not really. We never claimed to have watched it, and I created the title for this week's episode, so it's not even like Mungus had anything to do with it. But I never claimed to have seen it yet. But we'll get into that.
The funny thing is I even cut like a ton of the Justice League news for this week, so don't worry, we'll mention it once or twice, more than just now.
So, right now, Disney and Marvel are getting very, very greedy, and fans are going to be the ones who suffer here. And Marvel is pulling all of their shows that are not under the Disney umbrella. So, pretty much the Netflix shows, The Runaways, which I believe is on Freeform, and that would also include Cloak and Dagger, which isn't out yet. I don't know what station the New Warriors are supposed to be coming to, which is the one show I am beyond excited for.
You and me both.
But they're basically pulling all of these shows so they can put them on their up-and-coming Disney streaming platform. And I have to say, I do not agree with that unless they allow the filmmakers to continue doing things the way they want to do. Especially with the dark, gritty, bloody, from what I've heard from the Punisher series, gory, storytelling that the Netflix series has in their Marvel shows. You can't watch a Punisher show without some blood, without some cursing, without some just brutality. You know, this is going to be a Disney streaming network, so they might want to be very kid-friendly. But there is no reason whatsoever that Disney on their streaming service couldn't have a mature category where the Netflix shows now live.
I agree on that. I was wondering if they were going to rebrand it altogether, or just have an area where you know, because an area where the more mature content, like you said, is going to go. But the thing that I'm wondering is, being that they're trying to compete with Netflix, they're probably going to have to rely on other you know, like shows and movies and such, to even be a contender at that point. You know, they can't just stick all their cartoons on there, water down their Marvel stuff, and call it a day. I really don't think that's going to work.
No, it's not. Fans will not tolerate that, especially with how well received, you know, almost all of the Netflix shows have been. You can't do that to the fans.
That's not only that, but like, how do you compete with a giant like Netflix, who has like an absurd amount of content? You know, like just things that are going to be watched by any type of person. You have a huge variety. You can't go put your foot forward on solely your Marvel and your cartoon history or your back catalog and such.
Yeah,
I don't think people are going to get behind it if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, so they really need to be able to keep things branched out. You know, obviously you're going to want to have some Marvel shows that are more kid-friendly, kid-oriented. That's fine. I'm all for that. I mean, you know, personally, I'm a big fan of the Big Hero 6 animated movie. That's a Marvel property. I thought it was a very charming, very endearing movie. I thought the characters were great. I thought the story was, you know, I loved everything about that movie. It's a kids movie. You know, it's an animated kids movie. But you know, I have read those comics. They don't really follow the source material too much on them, but they took the source material, changed it, and made it their own. And you know, stuff like that I'm on board with, even though it's kid. You know, kids are the target audience, even for the Marvel movies right now. Children are the target audience, because children are the ones who who drag their parents and make them go see the movie. The kids are the ones who buy the toys, buy the clothes. You know, fucking kids are the one who fucking are making Marvel all this money right now. And if we're gonna keep getting great movies and great shows out of it, fuck, be my guest. But also, do not forget your older audience who likes the darker, more adult-oriented stories of Daredevil, of Jessica Jones, of Luke Cage, Iron Fist, you know, our Defenders, and now the Punisher. You know, it's you just got to know your demographic and know what they want, and just keep giving it to them. Supply and demand, and right now the older fans are demanding more mature shows.
And you know what? I think this announcement kind of proves that they are on that sort of page, because if they weren't looking to you know, like cater to some of their older fans, the more mature fans, I think they would have left the Netflix contracts intact. I think they would have just let Daredevil and Jessica Jones, Defenders, Luke Cage, all those just live on their own and just keep collecting a licensing paycheck. But I think that they're trying to move in a direction that will cater to every demographic. You know, let the kids keep making the money on the movies and have a good place to watch them, you know, when it comes to home video. But at the same time, they also want that audience that comes in for every Netflix Marvel show. So I think that there's going to be a unique balancing act going there.
Well, what I'm still not sure of, I don't know if this was clarified in any articles, but the way I read it was there's going to be no new Marvel shows coming to Netflix. Now, does that mean that the Marvel shows currently on Netflix can stay, or do they have a contract when they're going to run out and then they're going to be pulled and moved to Disney streaming platform?
Yeah, seriously, like I'm wondering that to myself. You know, like I kind of wish I was at wherever this was announced so that we could ask those hard-hitting questions, because Netflix is doing things right. Even if they sidestepped a little bit with Iron Fist, they've got their groove. You know, they understand what the fans want. they made a couple mistakes along the way, and they've atoned for them. You know, so I think it would be great to see those shows remain on Netflix while Marvel taking some of their other platforms and or their other IPs and then making things with them on their platform.
Yeah, so I mean, this stuff's not going to happen for a while. I don't know how far along Disney is with their streaming platform, so it's not something we as fans have to worry about right now. But it is something that's going to be coming down the pipeline. So you know, we just have to keep it in the back of our minds right now. As I said, you know, the Netflix shows are obviously really important to me. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about. But as I said in the very beginning, New Warriors is a show I'm very much looking forward to. It has a couple of my favorite, like, back wall Marvel characters in it. One of them being played by, I think, one of the most adorable women ever. If you guys are not familiar with the character of Squirrel Girl, go look her up. She's a very odd character in the Marvel universe.
Not only that, but like, look up Squirrel Girl and Thanos in the same search and let me know what you think.
And when you're done with that, look up Squirrel Girl and Doctor Doom. Yeah, so anyway, so they announced the who they're going to have play Squirrel Girl months ago. Now, I do not know how to say her name. It's Milana Vayntrub? I don't know. Basically, it's Lily from the AT&T commercials. That cute, adorable little girl from the AT&T commercials. Well, not little girl, but girl from the AT&T commercials is playing Squirrel Girl. And when I heard that casting, I lost it. So, you know, when I heard this news about the Marvel shows, I'm like, okay, I don't care what happens right now, but they can't do anything to the New Warriors. This show has to at least give me one season. I need live action Squirrel Girl in my life.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome that there's a few shows that are currently in limbo. Maybe not limbo, but like they're currently being developed, and we don't know if this change is going to affect that at all. So like Bates here, I'm really hoping that New Warriors gets made before this whole transition happens.
Yeah, I need Squirrel Girl in my life, and Speedball is another one of my favorite backwall, just quirky Marvel characters, and we're getting him live action in this show as well. It just don't mess with my New Warriors, all right? Don't do it. And don't mess with my Daredevil Season 3, which started filming this week.
Yeah, it did. I honestly don't think we're going to have to worry about anything beyond Season 3, because I think this is going to work out, but I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to see where Daredevil's going to be going this season.
Yeah, you know, I've been hoping that they're going to do like a Shadowland type of story arc, but I don't think we're ever going to get that.
Has there been any rumors on where this season's going?
We're getting Kingpin back, and that's all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, he was tremendous, so I'm looking forward to that. What I would really like is for him to transition into the movies, you know, maybe Spider-Man 2. That would be nice.
He was such an imposing, sophisticated, and just larger-than-life villain in the first season of Daredevil. And, you know, if I were to take all the comic book shows I've ever watched and all the comic book movies I've ever watched, I don't think I've ever fallen quite for a villain portrayal as Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. Now, going into the show, I was never a big Daredevil fan, and I was never a fan of the Kingpin. Coming out of Season 1, I fell in love with both. They captured so much and just made a non-fan fall in love with both characters. I mean, especially Kingpin. It's just Vincent's portrayal was unreal, absolutely unreal. He is just like a national treasure.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think he had it in him. Like, I mean, he's had some great roles in the past, but I would have never dreamed to even think that Kingpin would be portrayed so well, by Vincent D'Onofrio. He's absolutely incredible. Yeah, and dare I say, like, probably one of the top ranking Marvel villains, right next to like Kilgrave, which again, a Netflix villain.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously with movies, and this goes for the DC movies too, but the Marvel movies just don't seem to really get villains right. Now, Thor Ragnarok, I gotta say, I liked Hela, and you didn't see it, right?
No, I'm probably going to go next week.
Alright, so I won't get into more of some of the other villains in the movie, but they actually got... I liked what they did with Hela, and I liked what they did with some of the other villains. They actually made them super impactful. But you think back to some of the other villains in some of the Marvel movies, and they're almost all forgettable. I mean, I thought Jeff Bridges' Ironmonger in the first Iron Man was actually a really great villain. Obviously, Red Skull. Red Skull was a great villain. I wish
there was more of him, honestly.
Yeah, I wish Hugo Weaving and Marvel didn't part on such awkward terms. Because I would have loved to have seen him come back, and that's really it. The rest of the villains we've gotten, and the same thing with a lot of the DC movies, have just been very underwhelming.
I've been a big. They're picking up. Marvel's been picking up significantly, because they've been criticized for the last decade about it. And I think they show it. The Ego of the Living Planet was incredible. How they wrapped everything together. As far as story goes, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he was, definitely a huge throw away from some of the earlier villains of the series.
Yeah, yep, definitely. All right, so moving on from that bit of news, we're getting, today we got, I don't even think it was announced, I think it just kind of happened. We got the Deadpool 2 teaser trailer, and apparently the new title of the movie, which is the untitled Deadpool sequel. I'm not kidding.
Is that really what they're calling it?
I'm not kidding. I believe that is the title of the movie, the untitled Deadpool sequel.
The fact that you're breaking this news to me right now is amazing. Like, I'm over here giddy because Deadpool is one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time, and I'm over here like smiling at the fact that that's the title of the movie. That's almost as great as Dumb and Dumber 2, spelled wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say the Deadpool one's a lot better.
Oh, definitely.
But
I thought that was charming, too.
So we got the teaser trailer today, which was honestly the way a teaser trailer should be done. It was, obviously done in Deadpool style, so it was just incredibly sarcastic and goofy. And it's pretty much 3/4 of it is just Deadpool just being a dick, and
pretty much
the last quarter of it is just some quick snippets and quick shots of scenes in the movie, like real quick. So it's like boom, 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 and it doesn't really show much. It doesn't really spoil a thing. You're just getting some quick looks of what some of the characters are going to look like, some of the returning characters, and some of the new characters real quick. And it's really, that's all fans wanted. And they got it, and it's a trailer that they can watch over and over again, because the beginning is very funny. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it, and you will get a laugh out of it, I promise.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it when I heard it was announced earlier, until like 2 minutes before we went live. Like, I told him to hold off the broadcast so I could at least watch it. And I sat over here with like the biggest shit-eating grin, like imaginable. And like he said, it's very hilarious teaser, very hilarious teaser, done the way that teaser should be, and most trailers should be for that matter. Just, I don't know. Like, I know I told you guys to stop watching this, earlier, but stop watching it, pause it, whatever you want to do, and check that trailer out, because it's hilarious.
I remember when trailer releases for something special, because they didn't come out online for a while. You actually had to go to the fucking movies to see a trailer.
I like the way that these guys are doing it, though, because they released a little bit of artwork over the last couple weeks, last week or so, and nobody even thought that a trailer was on the way. Like it just appeared. And so we woke up and boom, there it was.
Yeah.
At least they're putting a little more effort into surprising us and getting us talking and everything.
Yep, agreed. So yeah, check out the trailer if you haven't seen it yet, and we're gonna go ahead and just move on to the next topic, and you can go ahead and take that one.
Oh man, this one's a doozy. So like I think it was a week ago, last week, it was announced that Star Wars, we're gonna get a new trilogy of Star Wars movies from the director of the Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, and it looks like he's gonna be returning to write and direct the first movie, but it's yet to be seen whether or not he's going to be in a producerial role. Is he going to oversee the trilogy? Is he going to mold it like sort of George Lucas did at one point, or is this just the way Kathleen Kennedy and co are going to launch another series? But in any case, what we do know about it is that the films are going to they're going to take place in the same universe, but they're not going to involve any of the Skywalker story. I'm sure we're going to get cameos here and there, or maybe little Easter eggs, but I think they're trying to remove themselves from that sort of story, from the original.
Yeah, no information has been given, and I don't think we're going to get information for quite a while.
I think we're a ways off.
I think they just wanted to just get the hype up already.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and this is something that I've been echoing, to people that I've talked about Star Wars with for quite a while. That one of the worst ways of keeping a story going is just like beating a dead horse and trying to find different ways to shove in the old into the new films. I feel like that approach relies too much on what happened in the past, and as a result it ends up weighing down the new stories. So to completely remove themselves from that shrunk, canon. I mean, not canon, but like that storyline. I think they're going to be opening themselves up to a not only a new fan base, but a greater appreciation from those of us that been waiting for different stuff to come from these movies.
Yeah, I've actually already been talking to my brother about it and some of what they could possibly do. I think they might go the Old Republic route. I think that might be there's so much lore in the Old Republic. They could do so much with it, especially for 3 movies.
Yeah, so you think they're going to go prequel route, like way back in the past prequel?
I think it would be smart for them.
Yeah, I like what they did with the Old Republic game, because they don't have to worry about anything like that. They could basically have very loose pillars to hold the tent up, but at the same time they could create within that tent whatever they want at this point without having to worry about anything else.
Yeah. Anyone experiencing stream issues, I'm sorry, my Steam started updating and it just sucked up all my bandwidth. I just paused it, so it should correct itself in a minute.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that.
Because I just started getting warnings on my OBS, and I was like, what? Why? Why is this happening? And then I realized Steam was downloading a massive Quake Champions update, like a 3 gig update. It's like, ah.
Oh, Christ.
So that should correct itself in a moment or two, and I actually just lowered the bitrate on the stream too, so that should help it as well.
Technical difficulties, man. That's how it goes.
I blame Steam's auto update.
My Steam is off because I knew that we were going to be doing something. You're preparing for your next show.
I just always have my Steam on.
I know, just messing with you.
It looks like it's better. Ah, yes, much. There we go. Look at that. See what happens
Sorry
when
about that again.
Yeah, well, shut up.
This is episode 3. We're bound to have some fuck-ups here and there.
So, I would really love to just dive into more Star Wars talk, but that really needs to be an episode or a special episode on the side all to its own, because we could dive in and talk about Star Wars, what these new shows and new movies could be for fucking hours, man. There's just so much backstory and lore.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely want to move into areas where we could just spend an entire episode bullshitting about Friday the 13th or Star Wars or Marvel. I mean, if you get Bates and I talking about Marvel, you either want to throw up or leave the house or whatever. We'll go on for hours.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, as I said, we'll probably get into a bigger discussion on a different specialized episode. But if we keep talking about it now, we're just never going to stop.
Exactly.
And, that's even, getting into the announcement of the live-action Star Wars TV series, and
let's just say that makes sense. It's made sense for a very long time. It's made sense now in the golden age of television, and I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. It's about fucking time that they decided, hey, let's take this universe and make it as many seasons as possible. With Star Trek being such a successful show for eons and Doctor Who and everything like that, it's about time that we got a Star Wars television show. So.
Yep. And it's crazy because the animated show Star Wars Rebels would have made a really good live action TV show. So I hope they do something in the vein of of the Rebels show, because I really enjoyed the directions that show went into, because it tied in closely with the Clone Wars TV show and some of those characters. So. Here's hoping. Again, I am sure we're not going to hear any information about this until maybe the next D23.
Yeah, completely agreed. But it's great to get a little morsel of information like that to keep us excited. This is what we're here for. We're just as fans, we want to hear about this stuff. We want this stuff as soon as possible, and keep us interested. They got to give us something here and there.
Yeah, got to give us some fat to chew on every once in a while.
Completely
so
agree.
as I said, we'll discuss this stuff in more length and detail on another show, but we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this week's episode, which is Justice League. Justice League is really, at this point, it's about 22 hours from being released in the United States. And usually at this point we would have lots of reviews up and a base score on Rotten Tomatoes, and the internet would be going crazy. Well, we don't have a Rotten Tomatoes score yet, because Rotten Tomatoes is doing this new thing where they're making the score reveal a fucking highlight on one of their live shows at midnight tonight. Doesn't matter. They fucked it up anyway, and the current score had been released a couple of times on their I think their Flickster app. And the last time I checked it, it was sitting at about 48%. I don't know how many reviews that was counting. I'm guessing probably around 50 or 60, maybe more. But we're gonna just kind of discuss this. Discuss some of the reviews we've read, what we've been hearing, what our expectations are, because we're both probably going to see. I know Mungus is going to see it. I'm sure I'm going to see it at some point, because I'd like to discuss it more, and I want to be able to know what I'm talking about instead of just spewing nonsense, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that drives me nuts, is when everybody has their own preconceived notions of what it is, and then they spend all day online bitching and moaning about it without even having seen anything beyond the trailer.
Yeah, and I've been reading a lot of reviews today now, as anybody watching this stream knows, who's watched any of my other streams, I am a Marvel fanboy, and I don't hide that fact. I love Marvel, everything Marvel. I love most Marvel characters, because I'm a big cosmic guy, and I think the cosmic end of the Marvel universe is just so much better than the cosmic end of the DC universe. But
I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, if you count Superman, he's cosmic, and you got Brainiac and Darkseid, and the Green Lanterns and the Yellow Lanterns and the Red Lanterns, and I'm sure there's Blue the fucking Lanterns. There's lots of them.
Oh, I know. I was just dogging DC a little bit.
So I've been reading a lot of reviews because I'm trying to stay as non-biased as possible. Because obviously I've seen Man of Steel. I did not like Man of Steel. I saw Batman vs. Superman. It took me a couple times, but I finally watched, I think, all of it without falling asleep. Or I might have seen parts of it and fell asleep and then caught other parts of it at another time and then fell asleep. It took me many times to finally get through that movie.
Honestly, the way you watched it is probably a better edit than the final edit of the movie, so yeah, you're probably lucky.
I haven't seen the definitive hardcore super special extended version of the movie.
It's 4 hours long. Like you have to spend a lifetime.
Are you fucking kidding me? Is it really that long?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I'll get a final runtime. Let me look it up.
Yeah, no, alright, so I will not be watching that. God, it was hard enough for me to watch fucking Watchmen, and I heard that extended version was like 4 hours, and I was just like, no.
That I enjoyed. I watched the entire thing of that, but I'm a big fan of Watchmen.
I've caught bits and pieces of Suicide Squad, and the bits and pieces I've seen are, oh, whoa, that's I've probably altogether seen about 40 minutes of that movie, and I felt like I've watched 12 hours of that movie within that 40 minutes. It's... I don't know what the writers were thinking. Whatever. Then we got Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was good. It's... You know, I think it got more praise than it deserved because of the movies that came before it were so bad that this one was such a step up that it was like, wow, this is amazing. But, I mean, I really have my theories as to why Wonder Woman got such praise, but we're not going to get into that. But it was definitely a massive step up from the previous three movies. So
yeah, it seems like Warner Brothers finally got their footing there. Personally, I enjoyed Suicide Squad for what it was. Like as a creative, I guess you could call me. I could totally see where people's disappointment lied and what everybody else wanted to expect out of that movie, and it's disappointing that they didn't get that. But I think Wonder Woman really took the reins and steered the cart where it needed to go.
Yeah, it was trying to correct the course, and it was definitely a good step in the right direction. And so, after that, I was kind of under the impression, like, all right, well, they finally are starting to get their footing. Justice League really should continue that, or at least stay on that path. Maybe not be any better, but be just as good. Well, from a lot of the reviews I've read, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. If anything, it's taken a couple steps back. Now, there is one constant pro that I have read in almost every Justice League review I have read, and that's that the chemistry between the heroes is perfect. Hang on a sec. Just DC fans are just going to be very happy with the portrayals of the heroes and the interactions and the chemistry all the heroes have with each other. That is the one thing I read that everyone agreed on.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you really need. Like, I realize that they've got a handful of bad movies and mediocre movies, whatever you want to say, but if they didn't nail this union of all these superheroes, you know, their first time out, I honestly think they'd be dead in the water. You know, I don't think anybody would trust Warner Brothers or DC Comics to really make good on this, and I think it all lies with Joss Whedon's involvement. I honestly think that him coming on to help work the heroes or work the script in the direction where it needed to go is probably the reason why those heroes work.
Yes and no. I've heard mixed reactions on Whedon's involvement, which apparently you can tell which scenes he had involvement in, because all of a sudden the tone of the previous scene is completely different, because it's just like, oh, okay, insert joke here for apparently no reason. So the jury's out on that one for me.
Being a fan of Whedon, I know that he understands character very well, so it would not surprise me, whatsoever, if a lot of the hero moments work well because of him. None of us are ever gonna know. We're never gonna know where Zack Snyder's hand and where it stopped, and where Whedon's began to pick up, and what sort of involvement the studio had. We're not gonna know those stories till probably years from now. But as a fan of Whedon's, I honestly think that might be the case. That he helped the movie in that regard.
I'm sure he did help the movie big time, but apparently, as I said, from a lot of the reviews I read, you can tell which scenes were his, and some of them work, but apparently a lot of them don't for the rest of the Snyder tone in the movie. But getting back to what some of the other things I've been reading in these reviews, again. The heroes, apparently, they got right. All of them. They all work, and...
Even Aqua Bro?
Yeah, apparently, Aqua Bro and Cyborg apparently don't have as much to do as the rest, but from what I've read, Cyborg is actually very crucial to the plot, which I think is stupid, considering nobody wanted Cyborg in the movie to begin with.
That's a good way to justify him being in there. If he's integral to it and he somehow works, then right on, man. Look at Iron Man back in the day. Nobody knew that character. They didn't know him. He wasn't a household name. It was just people like you and I that were privy to him. Now this might be the chance DC has to take Cyborg to that level.
Cyborg got enough recognition. He's been a Teen Titan since he was introduced into the DC universe.
True, but not on sort of that platform. He's never had that stage.
Yeah, but he's only been a Justice League member, I think, since the New 52. So, you're taking out fucking Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter, two fan favorite characters, and replacing him with fucking Cyborg, a character nobody cares about and nobody wanted in the movie. I think that was a fucking, that was just messed up for the DC fans. They wanted Green Lantern. They wanted Martian Manhunter, Or fucking even, Hawkgirl or Hawkman, So many other characters in the Justice League that they could have put in, and they give us Cyborg. But...
I agree. I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying that, from my perspective right here, I'm glad to hear that he isn't... terrible, for lack of a better way to put it. I'm glad that all the characters seem to work, especially the ones that people would have gave two shits about being included.
Well, from what I've read, he's integral to the plot, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a forced integration. Until I see it, I can't say that. I can't say one way or the other. But for all the praise that all the characters got in the movie. Heroes, I should say. Heroes. There were almost every review I read also complained that the pacing and storytelling were awful. Maybe not awful, but just very wonky. They just didn't make a lot of sense. Apparently, the first half to 3/4 of the movie is all explanation and exposition, and then it just jumps into the final.
It seems like that they had a huge vacuum cleaner to clean up the mess that they made that was left over. Whatever Wonder Woman couldn't clean and sweep under the rug, they needed Justice League to, especially once they brought different people on board to finish the movie itself.
You know, and at that rate, you would think that the movie would be longer than fucking 2 hours. I mean, that's it.
I'm kind of glad that it's less, because after Batman versus Superman, I don't know if I had it in me to watch another like 3-4 hour Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, no one's got that in them to do that slog. But
yeah.
So all right. So yeah, there's pacing and story problems again, but that's
to be expected when you have so many hands in the pot
and new characters and all that. But it's also just like a DC trait: bad storytelling and pacing. That's what a DC movie is.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've heard a lot of complaints, and I'm not going to get into it fully because I've been complaining about it on Twitter and in my chat with Ray a lot today. But don't
even bring it up.
I'm not going to bring that up. But
don't bring it up.
Now, I understand that in a lot of these movies, CGI is necessary. And
you're bringing it up.
I'm not bringing that up.
Okay.
But, you know, there's a point where excessive CGI can just be really bad. And apparently, this movie has so much CGI that it's just painful at times how much CGI is in this movie. And let me remind you that the budget for this movie, with the reshoots and everything, has come in at over $300 million. And right now, from what I read earlier today, I believe from Variety, Justice League is tracking $110 million opening weekend. Now, to put that in perspective, Thor Ragnarok, which opened 2 weeks ago, opened to 122 or 123 million in the U.S., and the Avengers opened to 207 million in the U.S. So for the Justice League to be tracking at 110 million, that is not good for them. That is really, really bad.
I definitely agree with you on that, but at the same time, they're on their apology tour as well. You know, like they've got a bunch of people that had their hopes like picked up a little bit after Wonder Woman's release and the success in that. But just Zack Snyder being involved in this period is probably left a lot of bad taste in most people's mouths.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. But
even the people that don't follow things the way you and I do, or don't know Zack Snyder's name, or if he even had any involvement in any of the DC movies. I think the mentality going into this is like, oh, the last time Batman was on screen, they fucked it up, so why am I going to trust them again? You know, I sat through a 3-hour movie, and what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough, like picking up the pieces of that. What I don't understand is that, you know, the first Batman appearance with Snyder involved fell completely on its face. Why do you continue that relationship?
Well, from everything I've read in the reviews, Batman has done a complete 180. We don't have the murder bat anymore. Now we have kind of a really soft Batman. It's really they went from one extreme to the other. But from what I've heard, and if this is a spoiler to you, then I don't even care. Now, Superman isn't in the movie for that long, but apparently the Superman we are getting is the best modern representation of the comic book Superman we've ever got. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to, especially for Superman fans, because honestly, now I'm probably one of the few people. I liked Superman Returns.
So did I.
I liked that representation of Superman. I did not like Man of Steel. I did not like Superman in Batman vs Superman. I just it didn't feel like Superman to me. Now, I'm not a big Superman fan, and I don't know too much about the character, but I do know enough to know that the Superman we got in those two movies is not Superman. So, hearing that we're getting a very good modern representation in this movie it's definitely comforting as a comic book fan.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
But on top of, excessive and bad CGI, I've read that a lot of the movie does have really good CGI, but then a lot of the movie has really bad CGI, wonky storytelling and pacing, and for every DC fan who's ever ripped on a Marvel movie for having a generic and boring villain, from what I've read, this is the worst comic book villain ever. Well, maybe not ever, but it's definitely like in like the top 3 of worst comic book villains ever in a comic book movie. So they're not ever allowed to say anything again about a Marvel villain.
I don't worry so much about what the fans say because it's just everybody yelling in an echo chamber. I'm gonna see the movie, give it a shot. If the villain sucks, whatever, I move on with my life.
And I'm still confused about them using fucking Steppenwolf. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I had heard of the character before, but I really didn't know who he was. And I can't imagine what just the Gen Pop is thinking. It's like, Steppenwolf? They aren't 15 movies in like the Marvel Universe is, where they could fucking pull out backwall villains like Darren Cross and Yellow Jacket and, Hela. And, well, who is not really a background, a backwall villain, but yeah, they don't have that fucking reputation yet where they could pull these unknown villains and make them work like Marvel can.
And had they actually developed individual movies for each of the characters, I think they could have gotten away with it in one of those movies. But to bring this, like you said, backwall villain into what should have been the grandest stage of them all, it's a little weird. And I feel as though it was a last minute decision too. They were going to bring Darkseid into it, and they decided not to because they saw what Marvel was doing with theirs, like building up to Thanos and everything like that, and they realized that to make a good villain, they're going to have to sort of replicate that sort of approach. So I feel like it was very last minute, probably decided in production of Batman versus Superman, because I hear that he was in one of the deleted scenes from what I understand. But it seems so bizarre for a big Avengers-like movie, Justice League movie, to have that as their main villain.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they had multiple scripts floating around for this movie, and this was the one that just worked the best for them. I really don't know. It's definitely
quite possible.
Very an odd decision for way of the villain. And I get it. They didn't want to use Darkseid right away. Maybe they didn't want to use Brainiac right away, or Anti-Monitor. The big villains of fucking the DC universe. But
at this point, if you're running through to catch up, why not throw one of those big villains right out the gate? Like show them that you could hang with the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Darkseid is the DC version of Thanos. Darkseid came first, obviously, by a few years, but they're essentially the same character. Now, if DC really was thinking of playing catch-up, what they should have done was just thrown Darkseid in. Just went headfirst into a Darkseid Justice League movie, and then instead of making Darkseid the end-all fucking villain like the Marvel Universe is doing with Thanos, change it up. Make it Brainiac, make it Anti-Monitor, make it one of the other really big imposing villains in the universe. Give fans Darkseid first, and just so you could say you beat Marvel to giving them that, that big type of cosmic villain, and then work on, another cosmic villain.
And that's a smart way to go about it. Or for that matter, not every movie has to end with a villain dying. Or, how many times over the years in the comics have the Justice League fought Darkseid? Like probably more times than anybody could count. I doubt anybody watching could give me a definitive number on that. So why not just bring him in, have him, destroy the Justice League, let them all friggin' come back together and quote-unquote defeat him. maybe even Darkseid puts a pawn in place. Maybe puts Brainiac out there to like, I don't have time for you guys to, you fight one of my pawns, and then he's gone for a later movie. Set him up that way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, look at, and I don't like giving this series any type of praise, but look at the Michael Bay Transformer movies. Any movie where Megatron wasn't killed, he was either killed or he was actually just defeated but not killed. Like, he was killed in the first movie, but then in the second movie, I think that was Revenge of the Fallen, he wasn't killed. He was just injured really bad and then just fled. Like it was just a random episode of the Transformers TV show. So you knew you were going to expect to see him again.
Yeah, I always love the fact that, when a property or, like a story or whatnot doesn't destroy off the bad guy. It drives me nuts when you hear of, you watch a movie like the original Batman, and I know that's probably being sacrilegious, but you watch a movie like that, and then knowing that Joker's dead in that film. He's not coming back. Like, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth because it's such an iconic character. So stop killing these things off and use them like they did in the comics. Just keep the story going, whatever it takes.
Yep, definitely. I think at some point they're going to have to, otherwise they're just going to kill all their villains.
Well, they're good villains, at least.
Yeah, it's like, we don't want to see a Spider-Man movie where the Jackal is the main villain,
Yeah, seriously.
So, so it's looking better for the Justice League movie than Batman vs Superman, but only a little bit.
One thing that kind of excited me, I've seen a handful of reviews saying that, the movie doesn't work. Yeah, the tone and pacing is weird at times, and the CGI is shitty here and there. But it's a fun movie experience. That's one thing that I see echoing in a lot of reviews.
I've read that too.
Sometimes I just want to go to the movies and have a good time. Why did the Transformer movies make so much money? Because people want to go in and shut their minds off and watch a bunch of fucking robot trucks fight each other. Sometimes that's all you want out of a movie. So if DC managed to at least achieve good hero characters and a fun movie experience, then they might come out of this alive.
Yeah, my original estimate on where this movie, because your Rotten Tomato score is everything in the movie world nowadays, and
it's weird to me, but go on.
My original estimate is that this movie was going to fall somewhere in line with where Man of Steel is sitting, and at the moment, that's exactly where it's sitting. I think it's actually below Man of Steel, but I think it's going to come up around Man of Steel levels. Still going to be rotten, but it's going to be on the high end of rotten, if that makes a difference.
Yeah, honestly, I can't throw out a number right now, but what I can say is, if what I just said before about the film being fun turns out to be the case, I think word of mouth might improve those numbers for a second week opening. And I'm not exactly sure what's opening within the next couple of weeks before Star Wars hits. So they might have a free reign of the next few weeks.
Not necessarily. Thor Ragnarok has been killing it still at the box office.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I mean, Justice League will knock it down a little bit.
Oh, I mean, obviously Justice League is going to be number one this weekend, but I still see Thor taking a 30 million weekend this weekend.
True, but I'm talking like second week numbers. By next week, Thor's been out for how many weeks now?
This weekend will be its third weekend, but not necessarily. So let's say after the scores come out and the reviews come out, let's say worst case scenario, Justice League is hovering around 40%, right? And people who are waiting for scores and reviews, instead of going to see Justice League next weekend, they're like, fuck this, I'm going to go just see Thor, or go see Thor again.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I don't hinge everything on reviews or Rotten Tomato things. Like, again, it's kind of what I said. It's kind of like what I said regarding the fans bitching back and forth. It's an echo chamber. It's the online world is significantly different than the average moviegoer, and to get the average moviegoer to repeat view, you need a fun experience.
Yeah.
Not a Rotten Tomato score or old critics or critics that have it out for DC or whatever you want to say. It's more for, oh, that was a blast. Or next week I'm going to take my buddy, or next week I'm going to take my kids or nieces, nephews, etc. And that's where it is. I think what happens this weekend is going to decide on whether or not it has a strong second week. And if it can't have a strong second week, it's going to end up like the other movies, I think.
Yeah, if it doesn't have at least it can't suffer any more than a 60% drop in its second weekend. If we see more than a 60% drop, then the movie's doomed, especially with its monstrous budget. Now, and I don't even know if that $300 million budget included its fucking marketing, which was ridiculous.
Usually it doesn't. The marketing is generally double what it's usually double the budget from what I understand.
No way. It's never that much.
No, obviously it's not going to be. No, what I mean it's whatever the marketing or the budget cost. That's what they spend on marketing, not double. So, it's really interesting to see where they go with it, and what happens this week.
Yeah, it's I mean, as I said, it's tracking at 110 million. And
So if this movie falls, what movies do you think are going to get scrapped on the upcoming pipeline?
Gotham City Sirens.
Really, you think they're going to do away with that one right out the gate?
Yep.
Not Shazam.
No, because The Rock.
That's a good point.
The Cyborg.
Going to be in the Shazam movie?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought he was going to be appearing in Black Adam, like a separate movie.
Well, Shazam's biggest enemy is Black Adam.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is I read somewhere or another that he might appear as a cameo or something
They don't know what they're fucking doing with those movies yet. They say they do, they have no idea. Nothing is written, nothing has been fucking decided.
Right, and the Cyborg looks to be completely off the table as it is.
Yep, that's
what I understand, they're waiting on this film to see about making Flashpoint, which Flashpoint's awesome enough to just green light to begin with. So
Flashpoint, this movie doesn't do very well. Flashpoint can fix this entire universe.
That's a very good point.
Flashpoint is a non-reboot reboot.
And it's not unheard of either, because the Fox did that with Days of Future Past, the X-Men movie. All the terrible movies that came out after X-Men 2, like completely washed away by Days of Future Past and the time traveling.
Yep.
That wouldn't be bad. So, if you're listening, Warner Brothers, I know you guys don't know us, but greenlight Flashpoint so you can clean up your mess.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think of what else is. Obviously, no one knows what's going on with the Batman movie. Is Ben in it? Is Ben not in it? So,
I'm getting sick of that seesaw of news. Like 1 minute he's Batman for life, the next minute he's looking for a fun way to get out of the series.
A graceful exit.
Like I said that early on when I heard Ben Affleck was cast as Bruce Wayne. I had this feeling that he wasn't going to stick with it. I felt like they should have gotten an unknown or an actor that was looking to have a second shot at stardom. Sort of like Robert Downey Jr. did. I think that would have been the smartest way to go. Affleck was hot off the heels of, I think, an Oscar win at that point. I know he had previous Oscar wins with Good Will Hunting, but it just didn't seem like something that he was going to be in for the long haul. And here we are with proof, like from all the news sources and rumors and everything, it looks like he's not going to be in these films much longer.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I mean, you got that. Obviously, you got Suicide Squad 2. Who knows what's going on with that? I mean, they have all these movies planned. And I think there was one or two other movies that they had planned. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
You know what they should have done? They should have pulled the trigger on doing a Red Hood movie. With the success of Deadpool, I think it would have worked perfectly.
Yeah, but they're not smart.
Why are we not in control of things? Why are we sitting on YouTube right now?
Yeah, the life of a fan, right?
Seriously.
Well, we'll dive more into Justice League after it's been out for a week, and we've been able to ingest more from the fans and from, you know, popular reviewers, and maybe for ourselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get you to come up here, or maybe we could go see it and just shoot the shit a little bit about it, because I'm very intrigued to see where our perspectives are going to be after we see the movie and how they fall in line with the rest of the community, as well as critics.
Yep. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up. We're closing in on 2 hours again.
We're getting there, man. We're whittling down a little bit.
No, we're not. We're at $1:53 right now, and the pre-stream wasn't that long. It was only 15 minutes.
Be optimistic, damn it.
So what do you got to shout out this week?
I got 2 things to shout out this week, and I feel like we've been really promoting Adam Green and Joe Lynch lately. Like I think they owe us an interview or something like that, because we've been promoting the hell out of their shit, mostly because we're so excited about it. But it was announced over the last couple days, I believe, that the 2 of them are going to be returning for their second year of doing a 48-hour podcast marathon. Last year, it was a show that they put on the movie Crypt, their podcast, and it was to benefit Save a Yorkie Rescue, which is something that we're both familiar with because they are very prominent in the Monster Mania convention. They always have an auction at the end of the weekend.
Save the Yorkies.
Exactly, to benefit like any sort of medical needs of the Yorkshire Terriers. So what Adam Green and Joe Lynch are doing is they are going to be doing a 48-hour podcast to while basically bringing in as much donations as possible to help support the cause. Last year, a couple things that they did that was pretty interesting. They did a live reading of an early script of The Goonies with a bunch of celebrity guests coming in to play the various parts. They did a live reading of an unaired Holliston episode, which was pretty unique, and this stuff has never been replayed. You watched it live, or you didn't see it at all. They did commentaries for Candyman with the director. They brought in Sid Haig and Bill Moseley to do commentary tracks for The Devil's Rejects. They had live music, all sorts of great stuff. So it looks like this marathon is going to start on December 8th. And it's going to conclude December 10th. You could find out more information on that by going to ariscope.com. You could go to geeknation.com to find out, whether or not there's going to be a live stream. I read that the Adam Green's going to be live streaming a lot from Facebook, but there might be a video element on Geek Nation. Still not announced, but one of the things that you could also do, if you want to get a head start on everything, you could go to saveayorkierescue.org for more information on the cause and to put some donations out there.
Yep, definitely a really good cause. We've never really hung around for those auctions at the end of Monster Mania, but they're very, very popular. The guy who runs Monster Mania, Dave, is very adamant and very passionate, I should say, about the Yorkie Foundation, just like Adam Green is. And I gotta tell you, man, guys like their Yorkies. I'm not a fan of Yorkies, but you know what? Plenty of other guys are, so more power to them. I'm a fan of animals, so anything to help out animals is A-okay in my book.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, just the fact that they're supporting a local rescue that does, probably like more than most rescues would do to help out, you know, whether it be medical or shelter, feeding the animals, and all sorts of stuff. Like I said, go to saveayorkierescue.org and you can see all the wonderful things that these people are doing.
Yep.
So the to move along, I have one last plug to make, and this is a personal plug. December 1st, I am going to be part of a website launch for a horror website. Basically, my brother and I are developing a horror website that includes all sorts of multimedia, news, reviews, pretty much everything that you would see on an average horror website, but we're looking to add all sorts of other elements that generally aren't on there. So we're going to be launching the website December 1st with contests, giveaways, features, all sorts of stuff. And I'm pretty sure Bates is going to be contributing a few articles to that as well.
Yes. So to kind of hitch on the personal plug, I'm actually working on an article for launch day for that site. And it has to do with the giveaway that's currently live on Live Deliciously in Game, my game streaming channel. So go check out that giveaway video, and you'll have an idea of the article I'm working on for launch day for the website.
Yeah, absolutely. The website is called Dead Entertainment. I cannot give you any other details about it because my brother is keeping things lock and key, but I will say that day 1 and day 3, we're going to have 2 huge giveaway announcements. Can't tell you what they are, but you have to come and check it out. And I think sometime in December, Bates over here is going to have his article up. Like he said, go check out his channel for the video, for the announcement. And being that I already know what it is, you guys are in for a treat.
Sorry, my audio just died. Give me 1 second. Alright, I don't think it came back.
You're back?
Oh, there it goes. Sorry, audio just decided to randomly crash on me.
That's always fun.
Yeah, well, it usually happens like once a night while I'm streaming.
What exactly happened?
I don't know.
Okay, so if I wasn't heard, the site's called Dead Entertainment. More shit's coming involving that. I'm going to be talking about it a little bit more. And, you know, he's going to be pointing you towards his articles and giveaways and all sorts of things. So keep an eye out.
And then I really don't have any real shout outs there. Just going to go ahead and plug some of my buddies on Twitter again. Buddy John Squires at Freddy in Space, at Jonathan Barkin, JONATHANBARKAN. They're both horror bloggers and horror writers. John works for Bloody Disgusting, and Barkin works for Dread Central. Great guys. They lots of great content on Twitter, and their articles are fantastic. A female writer that she doesn't write too much, but she does have some really great reviews she posts up every once in a while. Her name is Rachel. That's at Max Fishers, MAXFISCHERS, Max Fishers. Very, very sweet girl. She posts a lot of pictures from her job, and which is working. I think she works at a veterinary clinic of some sort. So there's always lots of cute pictures of cats and dogs and stuff. So if you like that, on top of horror reviews and horror topics and horror discussions, she's definitely someone to follow. And at Horror Movie BBQ, Another great guy who hopefully Ray and I will be meeting at Monster Mania in March, because I found out a week or so ago that he got his room booked just in the nick of time, because John tried booking a room yesterday and they're all gone. So we
really got lucky. I'm surprised that you were able to get a room yourself.
Yeah, so we got in under the radar on that one, and we got a room. But yep. So one more time, that's at Freddy in Space, at Jonathan Barkin, at Max Fishers, and at Horror Movie BBQ. You can see all these guys on my Twitter, which is at Bates_MotelMT, and I'm always tweeting at them, retweeting their stuff. Just do me a favor, go follow them, support them, tell them Bates sent you if you want. I don't know.
Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we go, I wanted to plug one more person, and I feel bad because I really should have done this the first episode, but I wanted to plug a Twitter user by the name of @BloodyPopcorn. I've been following them for quite a while. They have a website that posts all sorts of reviews and horror stuff, like pretty much what we're doing. And they have a podcast as well. But the thing is when we first started talking about doing this thing, I asked her about her equipment and the things that she used, and she was nice enough to help me out with a lot of the stuff, and I promised her a plug on the show. So it's late, but here it is. So check out @BloodyPopcorn on Twitter, or go to bloodypopcorn.com.
Is that
iTunes.
Kim?
No.
That's not Kim?
No. But you could go to iTunes and check out their podcast. I almost said Popcast, but search for Bloody Popcorn on iTunes and subscribe to their podcast, because they're awesome.
Yes, I follow them on Twitter as well, and they post up some really cool stuff.
Yeah, and her name's Joanna, by the way. I was trying to think of her husband's name, but I don't remember it at the moment.
Gotcha. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Where can they follow you on Twitter?
Again, they can follow me at Bates_MotelMT.
I should get to that, because I don't think I follow you. No, I'm just kidding. You can follow me on Twitter at Ray Mungus. You can pretty much see my name there in the chat or whatnot. And I ramble sometimes, so check it out.
And I think that's about it. So we should be back next week, because we didn't touch on everything this week, and then, as I said, we want to get into a lot more Justice League stuff next week. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Any last words?
Yeah, you could follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/wayoflifenet, or on Twitter @wayoflifenet. Tell your friends and subscribe.
Yep. And just remember, guys.
What are you all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life. This is a way of life.